Welcome to the Black Knight Nation podcast, your source for the latest information about your Army Black Knights, with your host, Sal Interdonato.
Hey, what's up, Black Knight Nation? We're back here, and tonight we have a special guest, Tony Coaxum. Tony played football at Army. He was an assistant coach at Army. He recruited Brett Toth to West Point. Brett Toth is having his first NFL start tonight against, I'm going to call him Washington. You know, I'm not going to call him the Washington football team, Tony. I'm just going to call him Washington. And we're going to also talk to Tony about his latest venture. He's the head coach at Bluefield State. Bluefield State is returning to college football, and Tony's taking over the program. So we're gonna talk to Tony. First off, if you guys want to follow us, you can get us on Twitter. You can get us on YouTube. You can get us on every basically podcast platform imaginable. I listened to us last night on Spotify, trying to get up those downloads, Tony. I'm trying to get us to the next level, you know. So yeah, we're everywhere. Please give us a follow on Instagram too at Black Knight Nation. And let's get right to it, Tony. You know, it's a big night tonight for Army football. You know, you wouldn't think of the last week in the NFL season, Sunday night football. You know, it's the Washington versus Philadelphia, but in Army football perspective, it's a big night for Brett Toth. It's his first NFL start. He's been in the league now for 2 seasons, and he's finally getting his chance to play and get some reps. He's played 28 snaps this year. I'm thinking he might play a little bit more than 28 tonight. So yeah. What does it mean when you can see, like, you know, we have Ali with the Steelers, you have Elijah Riley also with the Eagles, and Brett, and you have Cole Christensen playing for the Chargers. That's 4 Army football players in the NFL right now. That might be a high. I've never that's a high. You know, mostly you get 1 here and there, maybe 2. But what do you think about his opportunity tonight and what it means to Army football?
First, thanks for having me on, Sal. You know, we go way back from days of me being at West Point coaching. So thanks for having me on. But yeah, it's really exciting, man. Brett's a great young man, and to see him, you know, it's kind of twofold. Obviously, you know, you understand the brotherhood of Army football and how we all pull for each other, no matter if you're a guy that's playing right now or you're a guy who played back in the 50s. It's a very unique brotherhood, and we all love to see each other strive and do great things on all platforms and in all forms of life. And to see Brett go out there and actually get his first start tonight, I'm really excited about it. You know, he's a guy that had a really high draft grade coming out, and just kind of the other challenges of being at an academy when you're excelling everything like he has on the field and in the academy and getting a shot to possibly play. The military aspect plays a heavy role on the decision makers in the NFL. And, you know, it didn't give him a chance to get the draft that he was, you know, get drafted where he probably should have based off his draft grade. But excited to see him go out there and play. Again, he's from my hometown, and, you know, kind of just being the guy that, you know, finding him out there and then talking to him in his home and gotten the chance to bond with him in that short period of time, you know, before the coaching change. And then obviously the coaching staff at Army did an unbelievable job of developing him on the field and West Point in general, and develop him to be an officer and a graduate we're all proud of. So we're all excited for it, and I can't wait to see him out there go do his thing.
Yeah, I wrote in the story entry that he might have to go face to face with Chase Young tonight. I mean, that's a good first start test for you, right? When you have to face probably the defensive rookie of the year, maybe even the best rookie this season in the NFL. You know, you have to go up against him first start of your career.
Yeah, and again, it's one of those things, man. You know, there's no such thing as an easy day in the NFL, man. You know, that's why I tell people, you know, spending some time in the league and you know, over the time playing certain teams, and people, this should be an easy win for you this week. No, there's no such thing, man. It's called any given Sunday for a reason. Those dudes are the best football players on the planet, and they're literally alien to run around that field every Sunday. So, you know, and Chase Young is one of those guys, and he's going to have his handful, but Brett's an uber athletic guy. He's a young guy, but he's super athletic, and that was one of just traits coming out, and teams were very impressed with his ability to move, and he held his own in the Senior Bowl coming out against some elite pass rushers, and he'll win some tonight, he'll lose some tonight, but I think he's going to do well, man. And like I said, we're just excited to see him go get to work.
Yeah, Tony, you have a Super Bowl ring with the Broncos, so I mean you know a little bit about what it's like to play on Sundays and against the the elite of the elite. Talk to us a little bit about recruiting, Brett. We talked a lot about it for the story I wrote a couple of years back when Brett was a senior. What did you see in him, and what did you think of? How was he able to get this far? Because coming, like you said, he was talking to his father just via direct DMs today. I mean, he was a tight end, I think, until maybe late in his high school career before he started playing tackle. So.
Yeah, I mean, seeing a guy, one of the things we go through, we are always trying to get the best possible kids we can athletically, and obviously knowing the rigors of West Point and the character traits that you need in academics. He jumped off the table in that regards. But seeing a guy that, coming out your senior year in high school, he's 6'5", 6'6", has all the physical tools, seeing that the ability to play tight end. We're running the option in anyway under Coach Ellison, and so just knowing the projection that, hey, you're probably going to grow into a tight end, and that's it's kind of what we're looking at. And but spending time with him and his home with his family and getting to know him, and he won me over completely with his desires and what he wanted to do, and his the things that he wanted to do that make West Point special. He embraced those things, and so that made it a little easier. And like I said, just seeing, just kind of putting my coaching hat on and seeing that, hey, this is a 17-year-old kid that he's he's about 6'6" and only about 215, 220 right now, but getting to a weight program and builds a weight on, he'll get up to 250, 260 and go from there. And he got all the way up to about 300 pounds under Coach Monk and staff, and able to keep his athletic ability and his ability to run and agility. So it's just those things that we all look at. And being a West Point grad, myself, an Army football player, he had all those intangibles that we look for. And obviously just seeing his frame, he projected well to come and be an asset to the program.
Yeah, I know that. Looking at Brett coming in, I thought he might even got some snaps at tight end, maybe a freshman or sophomore year. They used him as I thought he had the number 48 on him one time during a game, or maybe it was just practice, but I remember seeing him freshman year, and just his ability to never really saw a guy at Army at his size move as well as he could, whether it be running, maybe a sprint in practice or just a drill in practice. It's just like, who is this guy? And then, sometimes they'll just like toss a football at you just to check your reflexes and how your hands are. And he was able to do that. And you look at his Army career just real quick. I don't know if I've ever seen a tackle get to the second level like he was able to do. I mean, it was just boom, and right there, and he was right on a linebacker to take on a linebacker and open up some holes for fullbacks, slotbacks, quarterbacks. And I mean, I know they've had some good ones in the past few years at Army during especially the Monken era. And, Bryce Holland comes to mind as one of those guys. And I think that I would have to say Brett is right up there. And Brett, I mean, now he's playing in the league. So, I mean, I think that you would have to consider him one of the best to come out of West Point in a long, long time, because Ali Villanueva, who's now playing with the Steelers, I mean, he was moved all over the place in his career. I think he played, his junior year he was a tackle, and then they moved to the wide receiver his senior year, right? So, I mean, if you're going by the whole career, man, Brett was right up there. And I mean, I think that I remember talking to Brent Davis about Brett and his intelligence. The kid was smart. I mean, the kid was an engineering major. I mean, I think some of that translates to the game. And you can maybe speak on this in the NFL, how much of being like having that smarts just will transfer onto the NFL field too, picking up certain things, picking up certain defenses, going into the film room, picking up those little nuances that you can get better at. It has to be helpful, right?
It's such a nuance, because again, at the NFL level, those schemes are complex, and they go fast. And it's not only, and even the ones that aren't as complex, you got to be able to digest a lot of information very quickly and take it to the field. So his innate, his natural intelligence is going to be huge. And particularly being an offensive lineman, is, you have to know every aspect of the offense. You have to know the blocking schemes for run game and pass game, and be able to diagnose the different stunts for the defense and be able to communicate that, and particularly being out there on the edge, knowing the different types of things you have to deal with. So his intelligence is going to be a key, because you have to have great study habits to be able to get all that information down and be able to process in your head, and then be able to take it to the practice field and inevitably to the game field. So there's no such thing as ever being too smart in the NFL. You know what I mean? And he absolutely has the acumen to handle that, and it's going to be an asset for him. And obviously, like you said, his athletic ability has paid off tremendously. Even with Ali, like you said, he moved around all over the place throughout his career. And got coached up and was all pro for a few years. And Brett is definitely on his way, because he has that prototypical size, and just his agility and the way he can run is very impressive for a man of that size. And that's exactly what they look for in the league. You got to have those athletic, especially playing tackle. You have to have that ability to get out there and run and match up against the Chase Youngs and the Myles Garretts and the Von Millers and those guys, but then also be able to get up on the second level to chase down linebackers for the screen game and RPO games, and just it's basketball on turf now.
Yeah.
Football. So you have to have those athletic tackles to do it. And being in Philly, learning from guys like Jason Peters. I know he's playing guard now, but he's one of the most athletic tackles ever playing in the league, and Lane Johnson and those guys. So I mean, he's learning from some really good guys, and just knowing Brett for his passion and his tenacity and toughness and competitiveness, he's soaking all that up. And again, I can't wait to see him get going tonight. I'll be watching him a lot tonight.
No doubt. Well, all eyes will be on Brett. And a couple of years back, I pointed this out to Steve Anderson and Josh McNary. We had a podcast earlier this week about Brett's pro day at West Point, and there were the most I've ever seen of scouts there. I think I might have counted 12 to 15 scouts at a pro day for Army, which was totally you might have seen the Jets guy running a pro day with maybe a handful of other scouts. So he did. I think what Brett did also is increase the visibility of West Point as far as NFL teams too. You get more scouts on campus. You see the facilities. You take a look at maybe a player or two that you might look at this year with Connor Slomka getting the chance to go into camp, right? Cole Christensen, 3 Army guys got a chance to go into camp this year, and 2 of them stuck. And I think that Brett helped with that visibility, no doubt, because you had some guys that were right on the doorstep there. I remember covering a Trent Steelman pro day. I remember seeing Xavier Moss do a pro day, and Andrew King. Guys, if the rules were different, maybe would have got their shot, and probably deservedly. A guy like Andrew King and a guy with the physical abilities of Xavier Moss probably deserved a shot in the NFL if the rules were a little bit different with the military rules, but they didn't get that. But Brett was able to continue to open up that door. And now I think, you talk about this year's team, and you look like a John Radigan, who's a first-year starter this year, who maybe could have a shot playing on Sundays, and maybe Sandon McCoy, a fullback who's tough as nails and really good leader, and just probably what NFL might be looking for if teams have a fullback, so it's definitely good to see, right? I mean, good to see Black Knights in the NFL. I tweet out, it's my hashtag, it's good to see those guys definitely, continuing their careers, no doubt, right?
No question. Like I said, it just further shows the, what our young officers and what our grads are capable of doing, selling in the classroom, selling as officers, obviously, and even taking that extra step of being having the physical abilities and the ability to play at the next level in the NFL. And it does nothing but just raise the level of West Point already, with which it's unprecedented. I'm a little biased, but it's the best leadership institution in the world, and to be able to say, hey, we have young men that can go out and play football, and it's not even football. I mean, having I can't remember her name, Kelsey, getting a chance to play professional basketball.
Kelsey Minato,
yeah, in baseball. I mean, it just shows that our athletes, our cadets can go out, do everything that West Point asks to do, serve their country, but we'll get some talented young people that can go out and be professional athletes as well. And I just think that just continue to raise the overall, profile of the entire academy.
Yeah, this is totally off base. I just bring this up because it's in my head. I was playing FIFA soccer with my stepson the other night, and I was looking at the Portland Timbers roster, and then you have Zach McGraw, West Point grad, who's playing in the MLS, who's a part of the Portland Timbers in the MLS. So absolutely great point there. We've been doing a lot of going back, so to speak, on Army, during your playing days. Maybe we could do that right now, just about what it was like for your playing days, and then we'll get into your next challenge with the Bluefield State program. Talk to me a little bit about. I'm trying to get to remember. Were you a freshman in '95 or you were a freshman in '96?
I was freshman in '96. Yeah.
Okay, so that's one of the most historic seasons for Army as far as win total and success on the field. What was it like to be a freshman on that team and the '96 team that won 10 games?
It was really it was unbelievable to be a part of that group. Seeing guys like Ron Lashinsky and who had NFL teams looking at him, and Ronnie Makeda who was the Mr. Irrelevant in the draft. And a guy like Ron Thomas, who's a dynamic player on offense for us. And then, guys like C.W. Estes, who got a shot in the NFL with the Giants a little bit. And Ben Kotwika, who was our team captain, who I still talk to this day. And he's been had a really good career in NFL and continued to be a person that I can look up to and I keep in contact with. And, is a great coach in the league, and just being surrounded by that type of leadership and seeing, what is capable of at the academy. It was a lot of fun. I just have fond memories of that group and that type of leadership that was there. And it was a hard, it was not a hard thing, but it was a, tough thing to live up to and, say, hey, that's what it looks like. That's what great leadership looks like on the field. And it was a great way to get introduced into the brotherhood of Army football, and always have fond memory of those guys. And so a lot of those guys I still talk to today, like I mentioned with Ben Kotwika and Ron Thomas, and my current situation of being a head coach now, and throughout my coaching career, those guys have always reached out to me and let me know that they support me and they're proud of me. And like I said, it's the best brotherhood in the world, and I'm blessed and fortunate to be part of it.
One more quick one on the playing days. When you're a freshman, what's it like to be? What's your first practice or first live practice like when you're going up against a team like that has the talent of that, and you have to, maybe if it's a offense versus defense drill. What was that like for you to be like thrown up against that right away?
Yeah, man. I mean, we got after it, man. Like I said, I was a receiver when I came in. And football has changed, and just the way that we practices have ran have changed a lot across college football. But when we were still running the option, and when we went full teams 11 on 11, and we went full go, I mean, we got after it, man. And then being a scout team guy most of my freshman year, I had to go against that defense a lot, and getting knocked around by Bobby Williams and and Dono Augustus in the secondary, and going against Garland Gay and Jamar Mullen every day. I mean, we had to strap it up and be ready to go. In a couple of weeks, I never forget, I think we were playing Ball State, and they had a receiver that would play quarterback and run the option. So I had to get under the center, and I learned to run the option because I was the fastest guy we had. And they somehow just schemed a play to where Heist Gibson would come free every time, and I'd run that option play. And the next thing you know, I have 265 pounds of Heist on top of me and getting cracked every day and getting rocked. But those guys, it was rewarding to see them go play on game day, because our defense played well that year, and those, again, the great leadership that they rest. After every game, they would come up, particularly the home games, they would come over to the scout team guys who didn't get the dress sitting in the stands and give us high fives and fist bumps. Hey, man, we won this game because the work you guys put in throughout the week. So that made you feel a part of the team, and that made you feel like, the things that you're doing is helping you win. And so it was really cool, but it was tough physically. And I never forget going home I didn't get to travel to the bowl game. We practiced that week leading up to the bowl game. So I flew back home, and I was literally dragging my right leg in the airport in full dress uniform because, it snowed. That old AstroTurf was hard. And I took a couple shots from Ben Kotwika, and my body was beat up, but it was the best feeling in the world, man. You getting beat up knowing that you're helping your guys get ready for a big game. So.
No doubt. And you went on to have a successful, you end up to earn a starting job at corner for Army. Mm-hmm. And then you actually coached the cornerbacks right at West Point too. So it came full circle a little bit when you went back to coach at West Point, no doubt, right?
Absolutely. And that was when I got out of here, I was about to graduate, had an opportunity to coach at our prep school first, and that's kind of where I caught the coaching, the first feel of coaching, and enjoyed it. And going, civilian world, getting in the Army, and wanting to be around the game and coaching in high school after I got out. And when I realized my worst day coaching was better, my best doing any job I had, I wanted to get back and get to it as a profession. And the goal was always to come back to West Point. And fortunately enough, I was able to do that under Stan Brock and be back with my brothers, man. Like I said, it was my military career didn't pan out link-wise like I wanted to. But I wanted to, that felt really rewarding, coming back and investing into the young men that were there, that I coached for those 7 years, and still have bonds with them. And literally they're still like my little brothers to this day. And it felt really good to be there and kind of pay back some of that stuff that I didn't get to do in my military career, and kind of invest into the young men that came through West Point through those 7 years. Guys like Brett, guys like Josh McNary, guys like Josh Jackson and Chris Carnegie, and Donovan Travis, and you name Steve Anderson. I can go on and on and on. Yeah. So it felt good to do that, and those years mean the world to me.
I was going to ask you about that because I was trying to remember who the corners were back then, and Josh Jackson was certainly a guy, right? That was that you had that under your wing, and also in the 2010 Armed Forces Ball, right? What you guys were able to do in that game, because I'm talking about this ad nauseum here, Tony, but that SMU team was a talented team, and look at Cole Beasley was a wide receiver on that team.
Yep,
and I think they had another
on that team.
Yeah, they had like 2 NFL wide receivers on that team, an NFL running back.
Yep.
I mean, that was probably game planning for that probably on short notice was probably definitely a challenge, but something that a coach probably would look forward to, no doubt, right? With the challenge that you had with that offense.
It's just like anything, man. It's like our guys just always want to play. As many times we can get on the field and play the game that we love, that's what we want to do. So once we got that nod that we made it into the game. They were locked in to do whatever we needed to do to put out a great effort. We had great leadership, guys like Steve Anderson being a captain, and guys like Josh McNary, who, he had a monster year that year. And, we were it was one of the things that if you have the right culture, and this is the type of thing that I'm looking to build with my program, is it's all about building. The X's and O's don't matter. They matter very little. You know what I mean? Doesn't matter what type of offense you run, type of defense you run. If you have the right culture and the guys are accountable to each other and they believe in each other, and they say, hey, you know what? I got to do whatever I need to do because I don't want to let my brother down. Anything can happen, and you'll be in any game. And to me, those are the things when games are tight and when that underdog team is neck and neck with a team they're not supposed to win or not supposed to be close with because of talent, and they win. It's because of that. It's not because of they called a certain play. It's not because they ran a certain fake or they ran that's the secondary reason why. The reason is because those dudes say, I am not going to let my brother down. I'm not going to let my teammates down. That's what culture trumps everything. Culture is the reason. Culture and leadership is essential in everything. I don't care what type of play you run, what type of scheme you do. If you have bad leadership or bad culture, you're not going to be successful. But if you have the right culture and the right leadership and the right bond and that unity, it doesn't matter if you're running triple option or if you're running the air raid offense, you could be successful.
No doubt. Talk to us a little bit about how the opportunity at Bluefield State opened for you, and why you wanted to take the job and to take this challenge. Because I guess when you're starting basically a little bit from scratch, I'm guessing, right, with this from the ground up. So talk to us a little bit about that.
It's not a little bit by scratch. It's literally from scratch. It's from the ground up. Bluefield State. It's a Bluefield State College in Bluefield, West Virginia. It's a D2 school, HBCU, that hadn't had football since 1980. And when it had football, it was very successful. Won 2 championships in the 20s of the Black National Championship. And due to a lot of different reasons, the university kind of went down, and the program went down, and football went away. And kind of just cruising to certain things that I'm always keeping my eye on, and just looking at saw that they were bringing football back, and just kind of kept my eye on it, had my agents kind of continue to look at it and see how things would come about. And as it started to go through, and I see they were getting ready to start trying to take on interviews and things like that, just started researching and just found that there was a connection there in town of someone who knew me from my cadet days that was in town there, and reached out to him, and he had a connection to the president, and passed my information on to say, I think you'd be a perfect fit for what we're trying to do, for what they're trying to do. And it all kind of went from there. And literally from a Friday to a Friday, the first contact I had with the president was on a Friday. I went through that weekend, and by the next Friday, I was having the press conference, being introduced as the head coach. My thing is, leadership is, I feel, is what my number one, is what I've been put on this earth to do, to lead and mentor people, and particularly young men. And I pride myself on that. And I felt I've been ready to be a head coach for a few years now, and tried to get my name at some places, over the years. And it just came down to that. It was kind of that perfect fit to where, they believed and saw the characteristics in me as being a leader, focusing on the leadership. I've never been an offensive coordinator, never been a defensive coordinator, but I've been a special teams coordinator. And honestly, I think special teams coordinators get overlooked, I should say, for head coaching jobs. Outside of the head coach, special teams coordinators are the only one that talk to the entire team on a regular basis. We talk about, we're involved in game management situations throughout the entire game. We coach offensive aspects and defensive aspects of the game. We coach football. And some of the best coach, Bill Belichick has a great special teams background. So does John Harbaugh, who I actually had time to spend time with when I was with the Ravens. Joe Judge, he's a special teams coordinator. The buzz was everybody tried to focus on, he was just a wide receiver coach, but they overlooked the fact that he was a special teams coach for three championships there in New England, and he understands what it takes to build a good football team. So that leadership aspect, I think, is what really is the job of a head coach, to be a leader, not necessarily to call plays offensively or defensively, but be the leader of the entire organization. And I feel I'm very good at that. And they saw those attributes, and it kind of just, we all came together. And I'm really excited about what we're trying to do. Like I said, we're building this thing from scratch, recruiting every single player. And that's the other part of it. It's the challenge part of it. Of most head coaches, you're coming in and you're trying to change the culture, or you may have players you may have to get rid of that don't fit your scheme, or things like that. Well, they're literally building this thing from scratch. We get to pick every single player. My staff, we get to pick every single player to fit what we want to do. Every single young man that comes through. I'm so happy about the coaching staff that I put together. I haven't announced the whole staff yet, but they're men that they're excited about the opportunity to build something brand new. They're embracing that challenge. But the other part is, we talk more about mentoring and leading young men than we did X's and O's. Every single coach that's on the staff, that's what we focused on. And I think that, again, going back to what I said earlier, that's the most important part, because it doesn't matter what you run. If you got everybody on the same page, you can run whatever you want. And it was more important to me to get the right people that are going to invest in the young men that we bring in than, if you run an RPO scheme, or if you're running an air raid, or if you're doing whatever, or if you're an attacking style defense, or you're 3-4-4-3. I don't know. That's minimal compared to everything else. So those guys invest in that and believe in that. And, we design the uniform from scratch and all those things. So, that's the exciting part and the challenging part. And it's something and things that we're selling to all the young men that we've offered. And we've got a few commits right now, is that selling the point that, hey, you get to come and be a part of something built from the ground up, that 10, 15 years from now, you can come back and say, hey, this is my program. We built this from the ground up. And I think that's very special. And not many people will ever get to say that when it comes to coaches or players. Say, hey, I was there when there was nothing there and we turned it into something special.
No doubt. No doubt. We're here with Tony Coaxum. He's a former Army football player, a former Army assistant coach who's now restarting the Bluefield State Division II football program. If you guys have any comments or questions, feel free to send them in. We'll answer them and put them up at the best we can. And Tony, so when with the whole recruiting side of this at Bluefield State, are you guys going to kick off in 2021, or when's going to be your first season?
So we're bringing a few kids in this January, very, very few, just a handful. And then we're looking to kind of really push and ramp everything up come the fall. But we're only going to play maybe a handful of games in this fall 21, just to be able to get a few games under our belt for me as a new head coach to get comfortable with that, with that change. And then that allows us to be able to evaluate our players based off of what we're doing, evaluate how we want to do things, and then we'll go into recruiting. But the goal is 2022 to be our full first season. So we're taking it slow, and but we're still being very aggressive on the recruiting side, finding the kids we want. But to answer your question, our first full season will be 22. And we're looking to play a handful of games this fall just to get our guys. Because we're going to be a young team regardless. We're getting transfer kids, we're getting high school kids, we're getting JUCO kids, but we're going to be a young team regardless, just because of even those kids we're bringing in there, they have 3 years left, and even some of the transfer kids may have 4 years left, depending on the situation. So we're taking it slow, but we want to do it the right way, and the biggest thing is to make sure we have the right things in place to take care of these kids the right way, and then obviously building how we want this program built.
You talked about your staff. Have you brought in anybody with West Point ties to join you on your staff or in your program at all? Have you continued that kind of long gray line, or no?
No, there's no one with West Point ties, so to speak, on my staff currently. There's not a lot of us in coaching, so to speak. There's a few players that I've coached that I've talked about wanting to get into coaching, just not at that point of doing that yet. And honestly, the guys like Kotwika and Mike Sullivan, I can't afford those guys. You know what I mean? But it's that's definitely something that it's always going to be about bringing the right type of people. Myself coaching all the way in the NFL level, and I have coaches that have coached at the D2 level and HBC level. My defensive coordinator, who I've already announced, he's not an academy guy, but he served in the Navy. So that was almost a sticking point. I almost didn't hire him because of that, but no, I'm joking. But we have fun with. But he's a super smart guy and has coached. He's been at Power 5 programs and Group of 5 programs, and he played in the state of West Virginia at a program here in the state. So, wide range of guys from that to guys that have coached in other Division I programs, and my thing was just to get as many different types of personalities and different types of experiences I possibly can, because again, I am not building this program by myself. It's not just me. If we did that, we'd fail immediately. I'm using everybody and everything I possibly can, and it's going to be our program. That's why I tell everybody, this is not my program. This isn't Tony Coaxum's program. This is our program. And taking input from everybody involved. And these guys have been helping me a great deal. And, it's something that we're all going to be proud of once we get this rocking and rolling.
Yeah, no doubt. I know that from our talks and just watching you coach in practices, and then following your career. I mean, certainly there's no lack of energy from you. I know you're going to put every ounce of energy you have into this. You've done that with everything that you've done since I've known you. So I mean, that's got to be just to know that, right? That this program is now, like you said, you're starting from the ground up. you're trying to form this culture, and now it's up to all of you guys to get this off the ground and get it going in the right direction, hoping for success, right? I mean, that's pretty much what the whole goal is, I guess.
Absolutely. I mean, we're not just doing this just to bring football back and to have football at Bluefield State College. That's not the goal. If that's what they wanted, they hired the wrong guy. You know what I mean? I know I'm here to win. I'm here to build a program that's going to be exciting to watch. And we're playing. Our goal is to win. As soon as we're able to be in a conference to compete for championships, that's what we're looking to do. And the thing is, we're doing that by building on a set of standards. Our thing is, it doesn't matter what we're trying to do. We're trying to be the absolute best at it. We're always going to measure ourselves against standards, and it's our standards that we're going to set, not from another university, not from another program, but it's what we set. And certain things that I'm set for our class, all our kids will know, hey, when you go to class, you're going to sit in the first 2 or 3 rows of your class. That's the standard. If you're not doing that, then you're not living up to the standard. I'm not expecting everybody to get straight A's. That's unrealistic. But I want you to give your best effort in every single thing you do. And if that means you get a C- in that class after getting your best effort, hey, we'll take that C- and we'll be happy about it. But on the flip side, if you're capable of getting an A and you settle for a B+, I'm going to be very upset, and that's not acceptable. And that's the same thing we're going to take on the football field. We're going to play to a level of what we deem acceptable. And if when we live up to that level of play, and if we lose, okay, we'll find ways to make changes to help change the outcome. On the flip side, if we win, yeah, we'll be happy we won. But if we didn't play up to our standards, that's not going to be good enough. And that's what we measure ourselves against, certain standard of play. And all the coaches that I have involved, we understand what that is. And our brand of football is going to be, I said in my press, I want maniacs on the field. I want guys flying around. This is a violent game, and we're going to play a physical, violent level of this game. But on the flip side, when their professors come to see them play, or people in the community, I want them to be like, I don't recognize that guy that's on the field, because that's not the young man that's in my classroom. That's not the gentleman that's in my classroom. That's not the young man that opens doors for people as they go through, or is very pleasant in the community. That person on the field is crazy. And that's what this game is about. That's how you play this game. You play it fast, you play it physically, and you play it with a mindset of wreaking havoc. And that's how we're going to play on the field. But when we step off the field, they're going to be polite, cordial young men, and all that bleeds into the ultimate plan of when they're done playing at Bluefield State, that they go on, they get their degree, and then they're going to be productive citizens in society, no matter where they go. They choose to be husbands, be the best husband they can be. They choose to be fathers, be the best fathers they can be, and be leaders wherever they go. That's the ultimate goal in football, just the avenue that we're going to make that happen.
It's great to catch up with you, Tony. It's great to see you have this opportunity, and it seems like you're all fired up to get this. I bet you wish you can go out into the you get to have a spring football practice, right? And just get out there and get going. I know you have so much passion for the game, the sport, the academy too. I know you're very passionate following the football team. It didn't go their way in the Liberty Bowl a couple days ago, but I mean, they gave it every effort they had right in that game. And, I'm sure that's what you're going to give to this program at Bluefield State. Really appreciate you having on. Thanks for coming on, and everybody follow Tony. We just put down his, the program's Twitter account and his Twitter account, and you can follow us on Black Knight Nation podcast all over the place. I'm going to plug our latest home, Spotify. You can follow us on Spotify. You can listen to this. I know Tony's going to listen to this again, at least on Spotify. I appreciate it, Tony. Thanks for the time, and all the best to you at Bluefield State.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you, man. Good luck to you. And hey, we'll be on the lookout, man. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Black Knight Nation podcast with your host, Sal Interdonato. For more information on your Army Black Knights, visit blackknightnation.com.